Okay, all right, if I get your attention, we'll get started with class. If I get your attention, please. Okay, we'll start off today's class, as always, with a few administrative things before we get going. If I get your attention, please. Thank you. One, I sent out an announcement recently saying that there were more slots for sociology research participation that were posted. Those are mostly full, but there are actually a few that are still full, or still available, I think, for Thursday from 5 to 6. Anyway, the people running the study asked me to tell you there are still some slots available for you to sign up for. I don't know if you can make those slots, but they're there. And obviously, there were not enough slots for everybody to get in, so we're going to have to post more, and that'll continue to happen. Don't worry. There will be enough slots eventually for everybody to participate. We should have a few more out in a couple weeks or something like that. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Extra credit study participation question. I said that there might be enough slots for there to be an opportunity to participate in another study for extra credit. We still don't know if that's the case, but I'll keep you posted as the semester goes on. Good question. Yes. The question is, aren't all the slots full? I don't know. The research assistant told me that there's a few slots available on one day at one time, which may or may not work for you, but I believe that there are a few slots that are still available, so you might check those out. Not a ton, though. So you may need to be patient. We'll post more slots. Okay, also, today we will make a valiant attempt to hand back the first exam. We have many readers on hand, and we're going to have 6 people handing them back, so hopefully, please God, hopefully things will work out. It's going to be a challenge, but we'll do our best. I will announce. I need y'all to be quiet, okay? Okay, I will announce at the break how we're going to do it. We don't know exactly. Nora's, like, the gears are working, and Nora's head, she's working it out. She's laying things out logistically, thinking about options, planning. When you're sleeping, like, she's planning and thinking, plotting, scheming. She doesn't sleep, she just sits in a dimly lit corner like this, like all night. And so right now she's coming up with some clever scheme for how we'll get them back to you. What I'll probably do at the break is announce which reader will have your paper based on where your last name falls in the alphabet, and then we'll very likely hand them back outside, which sucks, but is better than any other option we have, I'm pretty sure. Yes? Will the grades for, can you all be quiet, please? Will the grades for this exam be posted on BSpace? No, we're going to hand them back to you instead. That way you'll be able to see what you missed and learn from your mistakes. Never make them again when you retake this exam later. You obviously won't, but you'll ace it. This way you'll learn. Any questions about that? Okay, we'll tell you more after the mid-class break. A third thing, before we get started with today's lecture, I collected a couple more outstanding breaches, which I want to tell you about. These are fun. I like these a lot. Angeline Johnson is one of our top breachers in this class. I don't know if she's here or not, but she did a fantastic. Actually, I don't know if she wants to identify herself because her breach is very strange. She asked strangers if they would do her a favor and skip with her in the rain, like run around skipping with her in the rain. And she approached them, like it was raining like all of last month, right? And so she approached these people while it was raining. She did this very systematically too, like a good social scientist. She asked 7 people. It's a small n, but still, she asked 7 people, and 4 of them complied with the request. The 3 people who declined did not really want to decline. Like, they were all sort of like, upset that they couldn't do it. So one of them said that she would totally do it. She was like in her 40s or 50s, but she had a slipped disc, and so she couldn't do it. I don't know why you guys are laughing at the woman with the slipped disc. That's messed up. And then the other 2 women, a pair, said that they were late for class, so they couldn't do it. And they were also in their 40s or 50s. But one man looked really confused, but then did attempt to skip with her anyway, and smiled when it was complete, but walked away again very confused. And then the last person she asked laughed, asked her where they were skipping to, did it, and then high-fived her when they were done. So that's pretty cute. And then Seth Kramer also has a fantastic breach. Seth stood outside the McCoy Geology Building and wore a suit and then asked people who wanted to enter the building if they had the password that was required for entry. So it's very good. So he stood a few feet from the entrance, and then when like a crowd would come, he would walk out to them with like a serious demeanor and like halt them and say, "I'm sorry, I need to get the password from all of you all." And then I guess there really was a password, because if someone guessed it, he would congratulate them and then let them in. So I guess there really was a password or something. I'm kind of confused, but wait, it was whatever they get. You are set. Nice work. This is very good. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, all you had to do was just guess the password and you got in. So you'd be like, "Oh, excellent work, you got it right." So a lot of people, upon realizing that they needed a password, didn't guess and just turned around and went away, which I don't know if that's a good idea to be denying people access to campus buildings. But and then some people just ignored him and just walked in anyway, which is a reasonable response. And then. So some people would say, I don't know the password, but I'm a geology major. Can you just let me in the building? I'm late for class. And what did you say then when they did that? Just, oh, okay, right. Okay, so anything they would say essentially. Okay, yeah, that's awesome. I like that. And then, can you guess what the most commonly guessed password was? Go Bears, exactly. That was the most commonly guessed password. And of course, everybody who said that was allowed in. So and then, so some people apparently, when they were rejected, would just kind of stand around and try and figure out like what the next person would do as in an effort to like figure out how to get in. But Seth said that this actually added to his legitimacy, because then he had like this group of people who had been denied access who were like milling around. And then when any person would come up, they'd have this whole group of people staring at them, curious what they would do to try to get into the building, which only added to the pressure. So that's an excellent breach. So nice work, Angeline and Seth. These are brilliant. I love them. And maybe a few more will filter in at some point. Okay, so pleasantries and opening stuff aside, we'll talk today about roles and identity, and specifically we're going to continue the roles and identities Zimbardo lecture, which we started last week. So you've by now all seen the Zimbardo film, which is very, very interesting, very, very messed up. And by the way, people complain that I didn't warn about the graphic language and absurd weirdness of the film, and for that I'm sorry that I would now have to retroactively warn you that there's graphic, disturbing stuff in that film, and I'm sorry I forgot to do so beforehand. But continuing on, the key takeaway from the Zimbardo film and from the lecture about the Zimbardo film is the concept of the power of the situation. And the Zimbardo film illustrates this in several ways, but one of the clearest ways is that with minimal cues about what is the appropriate behavior in this setting, people fluently took on their roles, diligently took on their roles. Or the one guy, the John Wayne character who became a prison guard, became an incredibly abusive prison guard. He took on his role. He'd seen Kool-Aid Luke the night before. He knew the rules. He knew the details of the part. And so when he was told, "You're a prison guard," he did it with great imagination and verve. And then the prisoners totally took on their roles, right? They didn't really resist the guards. They kept track of the days on the side of the prison walls, even though at any point in time they could just leave. They tried to break out of the prison, but at any point in time they could have said, I would like to be released from this experiment. Instead, they tried to break out like a prison guard would. They tried to plot their escape. So this is one way to illustrate the power of the situation. Another experimental study, well, it's sort of I don't know if it's an experiment, but it's another famous social psychology study, which we'll talk about today. The Rosenhan experiment also illustrates the power of the situation, though in a somewhat different way. And the Rosenhan experiment sort of starts with this question of how great is the power of the situation? If it was the case that under the surface you were the exact opposite of your role, how long would it take for you to be detected? Or would the cues and expectations that come with roles, social roles in social settings, be so great that you could be the exact opposite of your prescribed role and you wouldn't be found? You would instead be able to pass. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about this experiment that was written up in the Rosenhan paper called On Being Sane in an Insane Place, which is totally one of the most kick-ass titles in the history of social psychology. So they took 8 sane people. Several of them were psychologists. There was a psychiatrist and a doctor. And Rosenhan made appointments at 12 hospitals for these 8 sane people to go to. Not just sane, most of them were mental health professionals. And what these mental health professionals did was they showed up at these mental hospitals, and they reported having heard voices. They reported having heard a handful of words, just a few words they heard, including the words empty, hollow, thud. They all said the same words, very strange, randomly picked words. But they otherwise represented themselves truthfully. So they showed up at these hospitals, and they said, I've been bothering a little bit lately, I've heard these voices, I've heard these 3 words, and otherwise, I'm feeling fine, I'm doing great. And all these people were admitted to the institutions with diagnoses of schizophrenia. And I believe they were all, none of them were like forcibly committed. They were all invited to stay. Oh, I'm like flicking this thing randomly. So all were admitted to the institution with diagnoses of schizophrenia. And from there on, that's kind of when the experiment started. So they reported hearing voices, they were diagnosed with schizophrenia, and invited to stay in mental hospitals. That's not too weird, right? Now the experiment starts. From there on, all of these study participants acted normally. And until then, and they were interested in how long would it be until they'd be diagnosed as normal and released. If they had made a few minimal complaints, got the normal diagnosis you would get when you report hearing voices, get put into a mental institution, how long, if they acted totally normally, acted like their authentic selves, which were again mostly mental health professionals, how long before they would be noticed and released? And the answer was a pretty damn long time. Their average stay was 19 days in these mental hospitals before being released. And the actual stays ranged from 7 to 52 days. And Rosenhan went public with these results, and it shook the world. I don't know if that's true. I just decided to say that. And so why did this happen? Why did this happen that on average the people didn't get found out for like 3 weeks? Why is this? Well, the main reason, based on the qualitative data, what the people reported as far as their experience in the mental hospitals went, the main reason is that the situation made them seem crazy. Their otherwise normal behavior would be interpreted as insane because they were in an insane place. So the big takeaway on being sane in an insane place is a lot of stuff that you think is your normal behavior will be construed as insane if you're in a mental hospital where everybody's expecting you to fulfill the role of an insane person who's committed to a mental hospital. So there are a wide variety of examples. People would talk to their therapists, and the therapist would say like they're strangely calm and at ease, or they speak too quickly or too slowly and things like that. And these people think they're just acting normally. Again, most of them are mental health professionals themselves. And one imposter was taking notes the whole time because they're in the Rosenhan experiment, right? And trying to take notes on their experience. And an observer, one of the mental health professionals who was observing them, said that their note taking was pathological and obsessive. And among the symptoms of Jane, in the study is, she's pathologically taking notes all the time. What's wrong with Jane? So one thing that was kind of, okay, so the patients also, so there was also this thing where the patients themselves, having gotten committed to the mental hospital, would then, because of their environment, actually act a little bit more insane than they were. They would act nervous and freaked out because they're in a sort of nerve-wracking, tense environment in this mental asylum, and they would be surrounded with, pretty mentally ill people who were in a tough state. So all this was very unnerving. So to a certain extent, they acted more insane, being sane in this insane place, suggesting that there's a self-fulfilling prophecy to being put in a mental hospital, where you're put in this very stressful, taxing environment, which makes you act a little bit more like maybe you fit in this stressful, taxing environment. And this is maybe my favorite part of the study is many of the other patients who ostensibly are insane, I guess, or were committed for, were not in the study, basically. They got there through some more normal means. Many of these fellow patients actually suspected that these people were imposters and were sane, which suggests the very strange takeaway that perhaps the insane are the best judges of insanity, since they were the ones who were like, those people do not belong here. Those people are totally fine. They're normal. Their note-taking is not pathological. It is, they're probably in some study. So that's very interesting. The insane folks definitely were more attuned to this than were mental health professionals, or so the study says. So this study was publicized, and I think the main purpose of the study from Rosenhan's perspective was to make light of the fact that psychiatry at that point in time was an inexact science, that mental hospitals were not so rigorously evaluating their clientele, that people could get better and they wouldn't be noticed, people could get worse and they wouldn't be noticed. This is not very long after the sort of the electroshock frontal lobotomy period of mental treatment in the country, and actually and still some of that's being used in the late 60s and early 70s. So Rosenhan was trying to make light of, as himself a mental health professional and a psychologist, how inexact this science was and how it needed to be reformed. Of course, this, in turn, when they published the study was much criticized. And some of these criticisms range from the very defensive, like what's going wrong with mental hospitals in America in 1971, to the very well-reasoned. For example, this guy Spitzer said, look, what is wrong with what happened in this study? What's wrong? If you were to go to a hospital and you were to complain of some physical problem and you manifested the apparent symptoms of that physical problem, the hospital would treat you for that physical problem and they would hold you in the hospital for the prescribed normal amount of time following the treatment that's appropriate for you to heal. And so you went to a mental hospital, clearly, proclaimed yourself or gave off symptoms that are easy to diagnose as indicative of schizophrenia. You were diagnosed with schizophrenia accurately, put in a mental hospital, and then they released you after a little while when you acted like you didn't have schizophrenia anymore. So Spitzer's like, what's the problem here? What did you want to happen? Like you had symptoms, you were diagnosed, properly, and then you were given treatment. And it's a good point. So what's the big deal? Okay, so Rosenhan's, at this point, he's on his heels. He's like, looks like people are taking on my study and they're making some kind of good points. So for a follow-up study, he did the following. One hospital claimed that no such mistakes could be made at their hospital. They said, look, the results of this original Rosenhan experiment, they're all well and good, but those are just the bad hospitals. The mental hospitals that are very imprecise. They're the ones that would commit somebody for hearing 3 words and then spend 52 days figuring out that they're not actually schizophrenic. Our hospital, this would not happen. So Rosenhan challenged them, essentially, to a test. Rosenhan said, I'll send several of my pseudo-patient people like these 8 mental health professionals that he had sent to begin with, and I'm going to send them there and see if they can get admitted to your hospital. You say it can't happen? Well, let's see. So the hospital kept careful track for the next month of the number of people who showed up and who got put in the mental hospital and who didn't. And so there are 193 people that showed up, 193 people showed up for evaluation diagnosis. And the hospital said, identified 41 as imposters. They said these 41 people out of 193 are Rosenhan's people. He's cleverly sent these 41 people here to try and expose our hospital as imprecise and expose us as not knowing what we're doing. And then they said these 43 people were strongly suspicious that they might be imposters as well, but we're not sure. We're not sure. So we admit right there, they're pretty much admitting this is a pretty imprecise science, right? In fact, Rosenhan had sent no pseudo patients at all to the hospital, and the hospital didn't look very good. So conclusions coming out of this study. So psychiatry is, or at least was in 1971, a very inexact science, which shouldn't be shocking, right? I mean, social psychology is a very inexact science. We have kind of general concepts, general tendencies, things we call effects. We don't have carefully nuanced theories that are perfectly accurate, like you might find, or not perfectly accurate, but highly accurate, like you might find in physics or chemistry or even biology. So, why would we expect psychiatry to be perfect just because they're dealing with drugs sometimes? And most of their use of drugs is justified by clinical trials. So this is not like egg on the face of psychiatrists. Some of my best friends are psychiatrists, yada yada yada. But it is, or at least was, a very inexact science. But for our purposes, as social psychologists looking at the Rosenhan experiment, what should be the big takeaway that we think of as the big thing that we learned in the Rosenhan experiment? Well, I would say that it's further evidence for the power of the situation and for the specific aspect of the power of the situation. This aspect that situations carry with them expectations that can become self-fulfilling prophecies. That when a role is salient, a role that you're supposed to obey, not only will you be seen through the lens of that role, but also your behavior may fall in line with that role, even if you are under your skin, the exact opposite of your role. Even if you are a mental health professional who's doing the minimal amount of acting to pass as a mentally ill person, you'll find yourself exhibiting behaviors that make you look like that person. You'll find people looking at you through a lens of expectations that you are that person, and for all intents and purposes, you'll be seen and you will be socially that person. So we tend to see what we expect to see. And when you treat someone like something, they may become that thing. And this is further evidence for the Thomas theorem, right? The Thomas theorem is this idea that situations believed to be real become real in their consequences. An idea that W.I. Thomas, the social psychologist, said is that all we need is for people to all subjectively perceive something to be real, and then the consequences that ensue will make it real. And that's what happened with the Rosenhan experiment. And so this is disturbing should you be sane in an insane place, right? Because you're probably not going to get seen. You're probably not going to get found out, and people probably won't know the difference. However, it might be reassuring if you suspect that you're insane in this supposedly sane place, and you're trying to pass. So that's the takeaway from the Rosenhan experiment. And we will now. Oh, do you have any questions about this? Before we move on to the next lecture. Yes, sir. For falsely what? Yeah, I think that the situation may be very similar for falsely convicted prisoners. Though they don't get released so much, once they, they get released when they have this track record of good behavior, and then, first opportunity for parole comes up. And yeah, it could be the case that if you're wrongly convicted, you get sent to prison, you become essentially a criminal by being in this kind of criminal deviant environment that brings that out. And you may find it very hard to make parole even though you were innocent to begin with. So yeah, I think it would correspond with that pretty well. Other questions? Yes? Did the Confederates ever actually just ask to be released from the hospital? They didn't. That was where they drew the line. They were supposed to just sort of act normally and then see how long before the mental health professionals would say, "We think you're fine, and we think you don't need to be here anymore." So that was kind of the test. Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's move boldly onward into the future. And so today's the Grand Illusion showing, right? Excellent. Okay. So in advance of the Grand Illusion showing, I thought it would be useful for you to know what the assignment is that the Grand Illusion film corresponds with. So let's talk about that now. Okay. So this is that assignment. So pay close attention. This is on B-Space in the Roles and Identity Goffman lecture. Okay. So The Grand Illusion. You haven't seen this film yet, but I think you're going to like it. It's a really good film. Why wouldn't you, right? It's from 1937. It's French. It's black and white. It has subtitles. It has no actor in it you've ever heard of. I don't understand what's not to love, right? I mean, that's why you're all so excited. Despite that, I think this is a kick-ass film. And actually, when you see these lists of the greatest films of all time, The Grand Illusion often winds up #1. Have you ever heard of the Criterion Collection? It's this collection of DVDs, very fancy pants, art house films that have been issued in this DVD collection called the Criterion Collection. The Grand Illusion was the first one they issued. Why? Because it's the greatest film of all time. So this film is directed by Jean Renoir. Not Jean Renoir, the painter who painted the Boating Party and other stuff like that in the Impressionist era, but actually his son, who became the director. And I think The Grand Illusion is one of the great films of all time, and is one of the first great war films of all time. And one of the biggest things you want to watch for as you watch this film is illusions in the film. That's what the title is orienting you to, right? This film is going to be about illusions, social illusions, and you're going to try to figure out what is the Grand Illusion. And the illusions in the film, at least this is the way I teach this film, all tend to revolve around group differences. By the way, we'll do a more in-depth lecture on this on Thursday, but this is just so you can watch the film and know what you're looking for. So the illusions in the film all revolve around group differences. And the people in the film sometimes transcend these group differences and find commonality and similarity and communion across these lines of difference, and then sometimes they fail to transcend these differences. So what are some of these differences? These social cleavages that the film is all about. Okay, so officers and privates, cleavages between different ranks in the military. There are often these scenes with officers and privates not necessarily connecting or maybe triumphing over that cleavage between those levels in the army and nonetheless connecting. Also, the prisoner-prison guard division, as you've seen in the Zimbardo film, this is a very significant social cleavage that's hard to connect across. Jew and Gentile, if you don't know, Gentile means not Jewish, and that's a social cleavage as well, especially in the time of this film, which is set during World War I. So in the 19-teens in Europe, the Jew-Gentile social cleavage is one of the most significant, if not the most significant perhaps, and propelling the rise of the Third Reich. Also, the distinction between nobility and commoners, which one thing to know as you watch this film is that the old European feudal system, where certain people are born nobles and are therefore by birth landowners and are better people, considered better people by birth than commoners, this system has died out in France with the French Revolution, which said we're getting rid of that old system, we're replacing it with a modern Western-style democracy like America has, because America's so cool, right? Okay. So, whatever opinion in America, the democracy part is pretty cool. So, but then in Germany, it's still persisting. They still have this noble system where certain people are born into landed aristocrat positions and other people are not, and they're by birth not as good. So that's another basis of difference. Then there's the French-German difference, obviously, with World War I, and this is like a film about French and German people interacting. So this French-German difference is a big deal. There's also the difference between rich and poor, and people that sometimes will connect across that basis of social difference, that social cleavage, and other times they won't.